After 3 years of giving up so much, my dad passed the inheritance to my sister, who had only appeared 8 weeks ago. I handed over the power of attorney and house keys with a steady smile. "Congratulations to Lily," I said. When my dad read my letter, he lost his temper. "You can't be serious," he yelled, his face turning bright red.
Hey, Reddit.
For 3 years, I lived in a home that never truly felt like mine. It was cluttered with my dad's medicine bottles, his old coats draped over chairs, and memories of a man who spent more time regretting his past than fixing it. Yet I stayed. I stayed as his health worsened. I stayed when he forgot appointments, meals, and conversations. I stayed when the burden of being his caregiver weighed so heavily that some nights I had to remind myself to breathe. And I stayed when Lily left. Lily, the daughter who shone when she wanted something and disappeared when life became difficult. Growing up, she was the favorite, the daughter-dad showcase with pride. I was the one in the background, steady, dependable, ordinary. When she came back 8 weeks ago, Dad brightened like a man reborn. Suddenly, he dressed better, spoke more sweetly, laughed more, as if all the years I spent by his side didn't matter because his special child had returned. I noticed it happening, but didn't let myself think it could go that far until the lawyer called. I sat across from him in that cold office. My hands were clasped so tightly my knuckles turned pale. The attorney gently slid the folder toward me, as if he knew it would hurt. "Your father made significant changes," he cautioned. But nothing could have prepared me. The house went to Lily. The land was for Lily, the savings, the investments, every asset listed under beneficiary Lily, with my name nowhere to be found. It felt unreal, like I had stepped into someone else's life. My throat tightened, but I didn't cry. Not there, not in front of a stranger. The lawyer's voice was low. I tried to talk to him. He said, "Lily deserves a fresh start." I had built my entire life around caring for him, and somehow he still thought Lily deserved more. That night, after pacing the living room for hours, I finally sat at the dining table, the same table where I had organized his medications, sorted his financial papers, and scheduled his doctor appointments for years. I wrote him a letter, simple, respectful, emotionless, telling him I understood his decision, that I would no longer act as his power of attorney, and that Lily would now receive the keys, the documents, and the responsibilities that came with all of it. I even wrote, "Congratulations to Lily." I meant it in a strangely peaceful way. The next morning, the sunlight felt sharp, almost judgmental. I walked into his room with the envelope in hand. He looked up, surprised. "What's this?" I said softly. "For Lily," he frowned. "Lily?" "Yes," I replied. "She'll be taking care of everything now." I placed the envelope on his bedside table, then set the house keys beside it. The same keys I jingled every day for 3 years. He opened his mouth to speak, but I didn't give him the chance. I walked out with calm steps, a steady voice, and a tranquil heart. But inside, something was breaking. Not because of the inheritance, but because he never thought I'd walk away. Later that afternoon, my phone buzzed nonstop.
Dad. Dad.
Dad again. Then a voicemail, furious and trembling. "You can't be serious. You can't just walk away. Lily can't handle this. What are you thinking?" A small bitter laugh escaped me. So now he realized Lily wasn't a miracle worker, but that wasn't my problem anymore. 2 days later, I returned quietly to gather the rest of my belongings. Dad was pacing the living room, face flushed, still clutching my letter. He looked like a man whose entire plan had just crumbled. "You can't do this," he said sharply. "You can't hand everything over to Lily." I looked him straight in the eye. "You're the one who gave her everything, Dad. I'm just stepping aside." He froze. The truth hit him like a punch. I packed in silence for several minutes before he spoke again, this time softer, almost small. "Why now?" he whispered. I paused, holding one of my boxes. "Because you made a choice," I said. "And I've been living with the consequences of your choices my entire life." He looked devastated, vulnerable. Nothing like the stubborn father I knew. "I thought you'd stay no matter what," he confessed quietly. That sentence burned, Not because it was unexpected, but because it was exactly how he had always treated me. I was dependable, predictable, convenient. I set the box down. "Dad," I said softly, "loving you doesn't mean I have to sacrifice myself." His eyes glistened. He opened his mouth, closed it again, lost for words. For the first time, he finally understood that I wasn't just leaving the house. I was stepping away from a role he had forced me into, and that realization shattered him. As I lifted my final box, he took a shaky step forward. "I need you," he whispered. I swallowed hard. "I needed you too," I said. "But you didn't choose me." It wasn't meant to hurt him. It was simply the truth. I walked toward the door.
He didn't stop me.
He couldn't. The air outside felt different, lighter, colder, honest. For the first time in forever, I wasn't responsible for anyone but myself. But deep down, I also knew something else. Lily had no idea what she had inherited. She saw a house, money, privilege. She didn't see the endless bills, the insurance battles, the repairs, the hospital visits, the emotional storms. She didn't know the reality hidden beneath the shiny title of beneficiary. But she was about to learn. Life has a way of revealing truths painfully, slowly, inevitably. And my father, he was about to face his truth, too. Months later, everything unraveled in ways none of us expected. 3 months passed after I left my dad's house with that final box in my arms. 3 months of rediscovering who I was outside of that role he had carved for me. I moved into a small apartment with creaky wooden floors and sunlight filtering through sheer curtains like warm honey. It wasn't luxurious, but it was mine. For the first time in years, I woke up to silence. No alarms reminding me of medication schedules. No dad calling my name from down the hall. Silence used to scare me. Now it felt like peace. During those months, Lily and Dad had to confront the reality I had lived with for 3 years. The first cracks appeared quickly. A week after I moved out, Lily called me, her voice high-pitched and frantic. "Why does Dad have 4 different specialists?" she demanded. "And what is this bill for facility fees? And why is the roof leaking?" I leaned against my kitchen counter, staring at the small plant I had bought for myself. "I handled all of that," I said calmly, "for years." There was a long silence on the phone. Oh, that single word carried panic, regret, and the realization that inheritance wasn't just a pretty word. It was responsibility. By the second month, the updates no longer came from Lily. She had already started to pull away. Instead, they came from Dad, short, hesitant texts at first. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I didn't realize." Then longer ones. "Lily is overwhelmed. She doesn't come by much anymore. I think I made a mistake. Please talk to me." One evening, I received a voicemail, his voice small, fragile. "I miss you." I sat on my sofa, the room dim except for a single lamp, and listened to it twice. Then 3 times. Part of me wanted to rush over. Another part remembered the way he looked at Lily, as if she were the sun itself. So I waited. I let time do its work, the same way time had once healed me. And slowly, it changed him too. By the 3rd month, I decided to visit, not to fix things but to find closure. When I walked into the house, everything felt heavier, as if the walls themselves were tired. Dad stood near the dining table. He looked older, not physically but emotionally, like a man who had finally seen the consequences of his choices. "You came," he whispered. I nodded, keeping my arms folded. I wasn't there as his caregiver. I wasn't there to break down. He gestured for me to sit, and for the first time in a long while, I saw fear in his eyes, the fear of losing something he thought he'd never have to earn. "I need to say this," he began. "I made a terrible mistake." I didn't speak. I let him continue. "I relied on you for everything, and I never appreciated it because I assumed you'd always be here." He swallowed hard. When Lily came back, I wanted to believe she had changed. I wanted to make up for all the years I failed her. And in doing that, I failed you.
His voice trembled on that last word.
I didn't expect the wave of emotion that hit me. Anger, sadness, relief, all tangled together. "Dad," I said quietly, I wasn't asking for the inheritance. I just wanted to be acknowledged. His face crumpled. You deserved so much more than what I gave you. For a long time, neither of us spoke. It wasn't comfortable. It wasn't easy, but it was real. After a while, he said something that surprised me. Lily moved out, he admitted. She said the responsibility was too much. I barely see her. I nodded slowly, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger toward Lily, just sadness. She wasn't made for caregiving. I was. But that didn't mean I had to destroy myself doing it. Dad wiped his eyes. I want to fix things. I want you back in my life, but not the same way. Not as my caregiver, as my daughter. His voice cracked at the end. I breathed in deeply. I let myself feel the weight of his apology, and I released the part of me that was still holding on to old hurt. I forgive you, I said. He closed his eyes in relief. Thank you. But I added gently, I'm not moving back. I'm not taking over your responsibilities again. I'll visit. I'll help where I can. But my life is finally mine. He nodded slowly. I understand. And I respect that. Respect. A word I had waited years to hear. From that moment on, something shifted. Not perfectly, not magically, but genuinely. I began visiting him once a week. Sometimes we talked about nothing. Sometimes we talked about everything. Sometimes we just sat together quietly, both healing in our own ways. Lily called occasionally too, apologizing, crying, explaining, and I forgave her as well because forgiveness wasn't for her. It was for me. Dad never rewrote the will. He offered many times, but I refused each time. I didn't want his house or savings or land tied to those years of resentment. I just want honesty, I told him. And this time I want the choice to be mine. He nodded. And for the first time in my life, he understood me. And maybe that was the real inheritance I had always deserved. A father who finally saw me. A life that finally belonged to me. A future unburdened by the weight of someone else's expectations. Sometimes you lose everything, and somehow that becomes the moment you find yourself.